And hyperfocus is when you're stuck in a place and you can't pull yourself out of it.
A lot of folks, with ADHD, they have this like intentional amping. They're just like really just being like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hate this. I hate this. I don't want to do this. Okay, I gotta do it still.
Yeah.
And then eventually they either don't or they do. But most of the time, I don't know, if there's enough pressure, they do it. If there's no pressure,
Yeah.
see ya.
I don't trust myself to play video games as an adult, by the way. I don't play video games because I just feel like it's going to be too consuming.
Gotcha.
So I stay away from it. I look at it like heroin. It's like I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay. If you have to read like a research paper or something, just convincing yourself that it's the most interesting thing.
I love that. Exercise is good for you, sure, but the more you do it, the more it becomes like a necessary thing in your life, and when you take it away, you're kind of like screwing yourself. These other mysteries sound more interesting to me, but Andy's gonna love talking about lighthouses.
I love lighthouses.
I know. I knew you would.
And who do they see with those couple of dudes? Angus.
Oh no.
And Angus is dead.
Oh God.
So
Poor Angus. In a fit of island madness, one man may have killed the other two. Welcome to What's That Today. I'm Eric. He's Andy. Today we've got a lot of fun things to discuss about ADHD, and we're also going to talk about mysteries and stuff. We're going to talk about one mystery. And did you get a chance to see what it is, Andy?
Nope.
Yeah, you're in for a real effing surprise today because this one's about lighthouses, or a lighthouse in particular, and that to me seemed like something you'd really be interested in.
I do love lighthouses.
I know. You look like a guy who loves lighthouses. Look at your mantle. Look at your mantle, man. I'm surprised there's not a lighthouse up there.
Oh wow. Man,
What's that? What's that pizza dough roller up there? What is that?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's an old one from 1758. That was when your house was built, right?
95.
1795?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, my friend made this for me.
He made it for you?
Yeah, he turned it.
It's like, here you go.
Huh?
Is it a weapon?
No, it's a mallet.
Oh, for
woodworking.
malletting. Yeah.
From my architecture.
Very nice. Okay. Cool. And then you've got a little glass pyramid over there. Over your other shoulder.
It's called a deck prism.
A deck prism?
Yeah, and it's how ships used to get light into the down under.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that in houses, actually.
But it's really just a fancy paperweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would put it in this way.
Look at that thing, yep. And then it'd be cool if you stuck that in your roof.
Yeah, you stuck this somewhere.
Listen, you attach that to your mallet, and then you've got a real
bopper.
You got a real weapon there. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Wow.
Kind of looks like a lighthouse.
Yeah, kind of looks like a lighthouse. There we go. Full circle. Nicely done.
Full
circle. Everyone. Okay. So today we're going to talk about. I've got a few topics here.
I'm not done. I wanted to tell you more about my stuff. No, I'm just
your ball. What's it?
This is a globe. It has monsters on it. I've had this since I was a baby.
What?
And at one point, I thought it would open and tell me some secret.
Your mom. That doesn't look like a good toy for a baby. Is that what's it made of? Is it heavy?
It's made of elephant bones.
Sweet looking. Oh, it's ivory.
I don't know what it is.
You know, the most expensive item I ever saw sold on. What's ivory? No, that's tusk. Most expensive item I ever saw get sold on Antiques Roadshow was ivory. It was little ivory figurines. It was like over $1 million.
What?
Yeah, it was like 1.3 million for these. Like it was like 6 little figurines. They were about that big. It's crazy.
What were they of? Were they chess pieces?
No, they were just little like toys, but they were. It was the material, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the time we got today. Thank you for joining us. Catch you on the next one. Okay, Andy.
Yep.
What we're going to talk about today. I'm going to do a little overview at the beginning of the episode and change things up a little bit. We're going to talk about hyperfocus a little bit. Okay. Then we're going to talk about ADHD, what helps your ADHD, but you just really like rebel against it, you know? And then we're also going to talk about factors that affect your ADHD and what we understand about ourselves relevant to that now that we're adults with big adult brains. And then finally, we're going to round things out with the Flannan Isles Lighthouse Mystery.
Where's the Flannan Isles? All right, we'll talk about it later. All right.
Where do you think? I mean, you could probably guess with a name like that.
South Africa?
Scotland.
Oh.
Yep. All right, let's go. Let's jump right in. Andy.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy. Do you consider hyperfocus a superpower? Why?
Well, I don't know.
Why not?
Do you? Do you think it is?
I do not. But
You don't? Why?
I don't really want to talk about it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't consider it a superpower because I think it gets mislabeled as one.
Really?
I think people conflate being in a flow state
Yeah.
with hyperfocus. And I think they're two distinct things.
Can you explain what the word conflate means?
Conflate, it means mix one thing up with another thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it mixing? What's hyperfocus mixing up with?
Being in a flow state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think being
We've got hyperfocus and we've got flow state. This is what we're saying. This is what you're saying. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because I think flow state is, that's something that everybody experiences, and that's just when you get in the zone and you're just going at it, And hyperfocus is when you're stuck in a place and you can't pull yourself out of it. That's what I think.
Not even to use the bathroom?
Sometimes no. Sometimes you poop right in your chair. At your office. It's happened to me many times.
No kidding.
No. Yeah, kidding. I have not. I've only pooped myself probably 3 times that I can remember.
It's like a handful of times.
Yeah, I remember the first time it happened. I was walking up the stairs.
And to be clear, we're talking about as conscious individuals.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. From what I can remember, I must have been 12, or I was walking up some stairs and it came out.
12?
What? Yeah.
12 years old?
Yeah, 12. I was on Cape Cod, walking up some stairs, and it happened. And I was so surprised.
What did you eat in that day?
Probably clams. That's probably what it was.
You ate a bad clam?
Probably. We were dipping clams in butter earlier that day.
Rich.
Huh? Rich, my dad. He's got a bad.
Here, Eric.
Yeah. This one was already open.
Anyway, it's already cooked.
Yeah. Anyway, how do we get here? Hyperfocus. So, yeah, that's what I think. I think when you're in a hyperfocus state, you're not listening to your bodily functions. You're not listening to anything. I think when you get in a hyperfocus state, usually what that means, I'll speak from personal experience. Usually what that means is I am dead focused on a thing, and I'm not thinking about the other things that I need to do, whether that be work-related or bodily function related. I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
And when I finally get out of hyperfocus, I feel terrible. I'm just my brain can't stop. It's just going. I'm kind of irritable. I haven't had water. I haven't eaten. And then I probably missed some other important things that I should have been working on. That's what I think hyperfocus is.
It sounds like you've been really mindful of your experience of hyperfocus.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that happened? Do you remember that first time you were conscientious of wow, I was just hyper focusing for an inordinate amount of time.
It's a good question. An ornament time? Oh, oh.
Yeah. Someone just take your picture.
Okay, we're back. It stopped recording for some reason.
Oh, I thought someone came into the room, dude. I
For
thought
me?
you were literally being invaded.
Oh, not this time.
Like search and seizure, like the FBI was at the door. You were like, "Ooh,
Dude, in this neighborhood, I
what?
told you, did I not tell you what happened?
No."
So we live in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, I
Yet,
know.
weird stuff happens here.
Like what?
Most recently, we had some cops knock on our door.
Wait, is this gonna like tell everybody where you live?
No.
Okay.
We had some cops knock on our door. I said, hey, can we go in your backyard? We need to make sure no one escapes this direction. And we were like, sure. One guy had a big gun, one guy had like a non-lethal. It looked like a paintball gun with pepper spray balls in it, because we asked him afterward what it was.
You were like, "Hey, what? Quick question. What is that?"
Yeah. So they posted up in our backyard.
No way.
One guy was like, can I use your ladder? So he had, and they were looking at the neighbors behind us. Then we hear like over the megaphone, they're talking to him. We eventually realized that we can look at our Ring camera outside to kind of eavesdrop as what's going on. And we heard like, Marcellus, we have the house surrounded. You can't escape. Just come out the front door. We're not going anywhere.
What?
And eventually, this is like after like over an hour. And then finally, we're just watching from the Ring camera to see if anything happens. We're on the other side of the house. We're worried bullets are going to start flying,
Oh my gosh.
But then, yeah, the cops knock on their door. They're like, hey, so we're all done. Thank you for letting us hang out back here. And we're like, no, you can't tell us much, but like, can you tell us anything? He's like, well, we left with one of them. And he's like, that's all I can tell you. And we're like, okay.
Dude.
Did I tell you the first week? We told you the story. First week we lived in this neighborhood, there was a shooting right up the road.
What? Dude, what?
So this guy is at the end of our street in our little cul-de-sac. Sounds like he went nuts. And from what we heard, he started like pointing his gun at cars driving by. So police got called. There's like a back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, this guy walks out of the house with a rifle, points it at officers, and they shoot him, and he dies on his way to the hospital. First week here. First week in this neighborhood that happened. There's more. I could tell you more.
How?
It's weird, dude. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's in the water, but
Well, it's that. You know what it is? It's that casino money.
it's weird, man. I'm telling you, like something's up with this place.
You got to move to San Diego.
Yes, I do.
So, but did you poop yourself that time?
Which
I
time?
forgot how we got there. Oh, FBI, someone came in. It was your DSLR. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like, how did we get
Let's
there?
get back to the poop. No, let's get back to Hyperfocus.
All right. So you're basically saying like
I'm saying there's two things that
two
people get
different
mixed
things
up.
that people are mistaking. So I had asked you a question about the first time that you really were mindful of the fact that, dude, don't do it again. Are you kidding me? It's the second time I've asked that question.
What? What?
You're like,
This time it is the police. No, I got this is my cam. So if I go like this,
yeah.
it's because someone's crawling through the window. No, it's because I'm looking at my camera. Look,
I
looking at my camera, make sure I'm still filming.
do. Is it filming?
Yes.
All right. So you know the question I was going to ask you.
Oh, first time that was a great question. And I think that there wasn't a moment where I had this realization. I think it was just something that I just began to understand over time.
So you were like reading about it and you were like, oh, I do this. And then like you were like, did you catch yourself like, oh, I just did that? And then you were like, I feel kind of like how did it go?
Well, I think I've hyper focused. So, okay, actually, now that you
Yeah.
put it that way, I think I can trace it back. So when I was a kid, my parents never let me have like a video game console besides a
Okay.
Game Boy. That didn't count.
Yeah.
Every time I went over to a friend's house who had a PlayStation or a Nintendo, I would come back home and just be like so irritable. I'd just be such a shitty
A little
kid,
jerk.
little jerk. And my mom used to say, just like your brain would just something would happen in your brain. You just get really weird. So they never, because of that, they never let me have that. That was that hyper focus as a kid. I was hyper focused on the video games, and then at like literally like my everything went into the video game,
Hmm.
and I popped out of it
Yeah.
like just being in a weird place.
Yeah.
It looks different now, but it's still sort of the same. Like that's what hyper focus is to me now. It's not a video game. I don't trust myself to play video games as an adult. By the way, I don't play video games because I just feel like it's going to be too consuming.
Gotcha.
So I stay away from it. I look at it like heroin. It's like I'm just I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay.
So, but now it's work. It's not video. It's work. Yeah, I get sucked into work, and then I come out of it like, oh, like I just feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What about your hyper focus? Do you consider it? And let me ask you this. Sometimes, and this is really people who are trying to like sell you stuff, but they go like, learn how to use your hyper focus. Channel your hyper focus and make it a superpower of your ADHD.
Yeah.
And I think people just use that to like because it sounds really good, and it's people are like, oh, I can pick this thing that is not so good and make it harness it and make it a power.
Yeah. 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 I think that my wife has noticed, Sinead has noticed that when there's like a problem or like just like a thing, like I'll just get stuck on a thing,
Yeah.
and then the world goes away,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like it is not, it's not over until nothing else is happening until this thing is like done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I've experienced it as somebody from the outside looking at me saying like, this is what you do sometimes.
Yeah.
And like that's made me a little bit aware of it. I When I'm working at my other job where I work on these old boats, I can sometimes like work on something just so hard,
Just get
and then
it
the next thing I know
absorbed
is
in it.
it's like I just spent so much time on this stupid thing
Yeah.
that has no, I did not need to spend that much time on
Yeah.
it. It literally,
Oh.
that was the most useless waste of my time. That
Yes.
was the biggest waste of my time. And so that's how I experience it. And sometimes I come out of that being a little bit frustrated.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's the story of my remodel, by the way.
yeah, just like the silliest little details. Um, so yeah, that's sort
Yeah,
of my
like,
thing.
do I want to put this rudder on the front or the back? And,
Yeah,
getting stuck on that.
that's exactly what I think.
Should the
That's
sail go
how
like
that's
this?
how new to this profession I am. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's a good one.
What
like
I
how
do though is like I said like, so there's a strategy for that I use.
Let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear the strategy.
Um, and I mean, it's anybody. Is this everybody uses that? I'm sure a lot of folks use this, but like being really mindful of like, okay, that's my task, and I'm going to designate this amount of time to that task,
Yeah.
and that's as simple as that for me.
Yeah. Time blocking. Dude,
And sometimes I just wham bam throw it together, like, and I'm like, this thing is a piece of junk, but it's serving the purpose.
yeah, dude. And that's,
It'll do. It's not the most important thing right now.
yeah, it's just a boat.
Right. It just has to float. But yeah, when there's like the frustrating things, that I hyper focus on. Is the FBI coming through your house right now?
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going. I'm looking.
I can't. I can't. I've lost my focus.
Okay. Would it help if you just see a part of me?
No.
I was looking for a little timer because I was gonna give a little supporting,
You're
visual
gonna
of what you were
you're gonna say
saying.
wrap it up, buddy.
I'm gonna say you've been talking for a long time.
Wrap it up.
No. I have this little. It's called a gravity timer. And
Yeah.
you just turn it and it starts the time. And I use that all day, every day. And if I start working on something, I'll turn the timer 25 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
It's so helpful, dude. Just having a timer going all the time. It just helps. It helps keep you aware. Time
have the
blocking
little-
is.
I have the little cook timers.
Yeah.
They're like this big, and I just have them in the shop. I have them in my office, and they're just
Nice.
like beep, 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 going across the room.
Do you set the time on it, or is it a fixed time?
No, yeah, I just like I'll be like, all right, for this particular task, like
Yeah.
if I was like, oh, I need to build,
Yeah.
if I need to build this,
Yeah.
6 minutes.
That's pretty fast to write a book.
Yep.
I recommend the gravity timers, by the way.
Okay.
So, a little timer setting the time. That one little extra step,
Can I see one?
dude. Okay.
Just got them.
Okay, hold on. All right. So here's one.
Oh,
This one has 5 minutes,
yeah,
10 minutes,
sick.
30 minutes, 60 minutes. This one might be dead. Yeah, it's dead.
You use it so much it's dead.
Yeah, the one I use
How
that
dramatic.
is, I have a Pomodoro one in here, but I just moved some stuff around and now I can't find it.
What's a pomodoro?
Pomodoro it means tomato in Italian.
Oh, it looks like a tomato.
No.
Oh.
But it's 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. Or 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off.
Okay.
And I like using that one. But this one is so how it works is you just go like that, doot, and it starts the timer. Doot.
Actually, what you just heard, if you
the
heard,
timer?
did you just hear that?
Yeah.
That goes off every hour. And it just says walk.
Can I ask you something? Why do I get out of breath so fast? I just ran to my room, which is right down the hall and back, and I'm like winded. But this morning I ran on the treadmill, I feel like I'm equally in shape and out of shape simultaneously for no reason.
Okay. Oh, my DSLR went off.
Oh, already? How long have we been talking for?
I put it on when I set up.
Oh,
Because it's
that's
fun
gonna
to
be
go
some
on.
good BTS footage there.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
What's something that helps you? Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question. I think I like what you said about hyperfocus. I think
thanks.
that's good.
Oh, is that going to make the cut?
It's gonna make the cut. I'm gonna tell you with every like thing that you
That's
send me
good.
back. Yeah, that was good enough. That'll make it.
Moving on.
Moving on. What's something that helps your ADHD yet you continue to try to reject it? So let me explain this question more.
I didn't even hear it.
That's because I went like this.
Yeah.
What's something that helps your ADHD yet your mind continues to try to reject it? A thing that you know is helpful, yet your mind is just like, don't do that. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that people will automatically settle into what's most comfortable.
Correct.
Thanks.
Continue.
That's it. We were going to explain your question.
Yeah, so I'll explain it by giving you an example for me. If I walk into my office and it's spotless, I'm going to have a much more productive day.
Okay.
But it is so damn difficult to walk into my office and clean before getting to work.
Yeah.
Everything inside of me is like, when I walk into this office, it's like, get to work.
Yep.
And it is such a challenge. I do it, but it's such a damn challenge to clean my office
Yeah.
before I get started. And every time, but it's like a night and day difference. And I just wish my mind would be like, oh, see, you clean, you're more productive. Therefore, we want to do that. But that doesn't happen at all. It's the opposite. It's like, no,
It sucks
not
every
today.
time.
Today, we don't have to clean. We're going to be productive. But then inevitably, if I don't have my space picked up, less productive. And it takes like 5 minutes, especially if I'm doing consistently. 5 minutes. That's it. But it's like pulling teeth. I'm still out of breath, dude.
Yeah, what's going on?
Jog down the hall really got to me.
Yeah,
I think it's the altitude. I'm on the second story of our house.
probably. You have a huge house.
It's not huge. All right, your turn.
You have to catch your breath, dude.
I realize some of these questions are hard. If you don't think about them beforehand, they're difficult to answer, But hey, you never know. Sometimes off the cuff, you get something really good.
Really good. Yeah. There you go.
Hey, can you think of anything like that? Something that your mind just rejects, but you know it's good for you?
Yeah. Exercising. Like we talk about, like, unless I'm playing a sport, I don't really want to exercise.
Yeah.
But every time I exercise, I feel great.
Yeah, dude.
I feel a lot less clutter in my brain.
Yeah.
Space. Let's see. Another thing that I know I need to do that will help me is eating more healthy. But when I see French bread pizza, I eat all of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think a lot of things. Most things that are uncomfortable, I reject.
Yeah.
And I push myself to do those things. But it's really takes a lot.
It does take a lot, I know.
I really have to amp myself up. Like, I don't know if you've heard of that, but being intentional about amping yourself up for something.
Tell me about it.
Well, kind of like how you are like, I really don't want to clean my office. And I'm sure you procrastinate a little bit into cleaning your office.
Yeah.
But that's actually just you, getting yourself ready to get it done.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I don't know, when you think about like us doing homework when we were kids, it was like, all right, get your pencil out of your backpack. And you're like,
yeah.
yeah, the pencil, like with you just fiddling with your fingers, like, oh, I dropped it. And then it's like, all right, get your worksheet out. It's like,
So that's interesting. You said that's really just ourselves getting ourselves ready to.
well, some people, a lot of folks, with ADHD, they have this like intentional amping time where it looks like, they're just like really just being like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hate this. I hate this. I don't want to do this. Okay, I gotta do it still.
Yeah.
And then eventually they either don't or they do. But most of the time, I don't know, if there's enough pressure, they do it. If there's no pressure,
Yeah.
see ya.
Yeah. Are you intentional about your amping? Or do you just kind of
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I have. There's a Huberman thing that I've used in the past.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how you feel about that guy. I think some of the stuff he does is pretty cool. I think, whatever.
I'm mixed.
But
I agree. Some of the stuff is pretty cool.
yeah, he talks about convincing yourself that something is the most interesting thing you've ever. Like if you have to read like a research paper or something, just convincing yourself that it's the most interesting thing.
I love that.
And it's like that for some reason has worked for me a little bit in certain circumstances. It doesn't work all the time, but sometimes I'm just like, I'm just gonna dig right into this. Like I'm just gonna.
I'm so excited.
Gonna eat this up
about this paper on this 500-page document on the whatever.
Or like when you have to read a coworker's like report, and you're just like, you convince yourself like, oh, I wonder if they're a bad writer. I wonder if they're a good writer. I'll read it, and that's going to be part of the intention of my read. To entertain yourself a little bit.
Yeah. We'll see how much I'm going to be able to laugh.
Am I entertained by this? Yeah.
Oh shoot. That reminded me of something I saw a while back. This was a TikTok I saw from some it was just like this teenage kid who's given life advice, and he's in no place to do that. But I
Should
did
he be like, yeah.
what he said stuck with me, and that's like
Wow.
it was if you approach life instead of being mildly irritated
Yeah.
with the things that are going on, if you approach everything with mild amusement, life becomes a lot better.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So I just tried to start doing that for a while. And once in a while, it'll pop back in my head and I'll think about that and just little things that used to be kind of irritating, to me and would sour my mood a little bit. I just try to think about them from the,
From like a
make
humor
them into
perspective.
something amusing in my mind. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was kind of one of those things where like it sounded like it had profound potential, but it really, I don't think made a big difference. I think if you could figure out a way to just make that your default mode, maybe if it's something that you were like, you sat down and like, all right, I'm going to do this the entire day. I'm going to be super strict about it.
Yeah.
Kind of have that conversation with yourself every morning. Maybe it can turn into something, but
I know folks that are like that though. Like I have a coworker who's like, like, what does he say? He's like, happiness. He's like, I make my choice be happiness. Like,
love
and
that.
he's literally the happiest dude all
Love
the
that.
time.
I want to
Every
hang out.
single
Yeah,
day, consistently a happy person. And
that's
like,
so
yeah,
cool.
like he has things that like
Yeah,
irks him a little bit, but still
yeah,
through that, he's like
yeah.
maintains this very happy demeanor.
I love that. Sounds like a great person to have around.
Yeah,
Does
he's,
uh, does he
yeah,
always have a smile on his face?
yeah.
Yeah, like
But he's
the
older.
people.
He's not old,
Yeah,
but he's like, probably in his 40s or something.
dude,
And
we've
I
all.
think he's gotten to this point where he's just like,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
awesome. I want to get. I want to get there. We've all encountered people who just like have like a smile on their face all the time.
he chooses that though. Like
Yeah,
he's very mindful of like keeping himself having this happy demeanor.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's what's his name? First name only.
His first name is Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks. I think I could see Kevin being a happy person, or I could see a happy person having the name Kevin.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I got one more ADHD topic, and then I want to get into this mystery because I'll be honest with you about this mystery. I was like, these other mysteries sound more interesting to me, but Andy's gonna love talking about lighthouses.
I love lighthouses.
I know. I knew you would. All right. So here's a question for you.
Okay.
What's kind of difficult about this is the way I wrote these questions is not very good. So I have to tell you how I wrote it, because read it off, and then I have to kind of explain what I meant. So factors that affect your ADHD. Okay.
Yeah.
We all know what they are, right? So there's sleep, there's diet, there's exercise, stress, anger, whatever. Like we have all these things. What have you learned about? This is kind of like a high level question. What have you learned about yourself in terms of these things, and how have you made changes now that you're older in your life to accommodate the understanding that something like not getting a lot of sleep will maybe make your ADHD really bad the next day? So first off, what are some factors that you think affect you to like a really high degree? And
Okay.
then like how have you kind of approached those things?
Okay. While I think about my answer, why don't you tell me what your answer is?
Let me think about it. Sleep is a big one. Sleep is a big one. I've been sleep has just been a challenge for me like forever. My mom is narcoleptic and an insomniac, and I definitely inherited some of that. I think I'm narcoleptic. I need to go get the sleep study done. I've been procrastinating on that. But if I don't get good sleep, like I am operating at like a 50% level, and my ADHD symptoms just get so bad. It gets so bad. For me, I don't know how much my diet affects my ability to like process, but my exercise certainly does. For me, the foundational thing is exercise. What I've realized now that I'm older in life is I need to be exercising, because when I exercise, I eat right, and I sleep better. If I'm not exercising, my sleep isn't very good, and my diet isn't very good, and I'm more stressed. So without that, if you take that away, it's so much more difficult for me to manage the other areas, and things start falling apart. So I've really had to prioritize exercise. And what's kind of interesting is like I don't know if you've heard or read anything about this, but like that exercise is good for you, sure, but the more you do it, the more it becomes like a necessary thing in your life, and when you take it away, you're kind of like screwing yourself, you know?
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, exercise has a large biological reaction in your body, right?
Yeah.
And so, like anything that makes you feel good,
If you take it away, then you're going to be at, yeah, you're going to be
yeah.
operating below the line.
Hmm.
Did someone just walk in?
Yes.
Who was that? Who's that?
Oh, well.
I hear some big dog noises, but I don't see it. Oh, there he is. He had that big dog
Yeah.
mouth sounds.
Here's his ear.
So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I'm at a point now where if I don't exercise, everything falls apart. I don't feel good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's sort of bittersweet, you know, because now it's like I have to prioritize exercise pretty much every single day. The only days where like I won't always exercise Saturday, Sunday, but I kind of feel like I have to do it Monday through Friday. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I identify with a lot of things that you said.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know how that's different when you're on or off medication.
That's a good question. I don't think much different.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah. I mean, I've been off medication now. You too, right? Been off medication for a little while.
Hmm.
Been off medication for a little while, and I think kind of like I think if you took me a few months into medication, I would probably be saying the same exact thing to you. You know,
Okay.
once past that initial where like the medication starts kicking in again, it's like, oh, everything's great. I can do literally anything in the world right now. Once you get past that phase, I think it all remains the same. Yeah.
Gotcha.
What about you? You think it's different for you on medication?
No, I was just curious. I don't know. I do know that like when I was on medication, yeah, I don't know. What I have noticed is that having a lot of exercise really does like it calms down my like.
That's a dog
Yeah,
for anyone that's
not
listening
me.
right now, not and doesn't have the visual. That is a dog making that. It's. I just don't want people to think as you're talking, I'm over here panting into the microphone.
Good boy, Bo. Place. Good. I think so. Yeah, like what I'll notice is that if I don't exercise, that like chatter, that just like, even if I'm just sitting in my home, just all the things that I feel like are bothering me
Yeah.
are just so much like bothering me. Like the space might be bothering me. Like I'll just like get up and start grabbing like dust bunnies off the ground, and I'll start like I don't know. I'll just start getting
Eating
busy.
them.
Yeah, I'll just get busy, you know? I'll
Yeah.
just start doing projects and like starting projects and leaving them and then doing a
Yeah.
different one. And it's like a tornado,
Scatterbrain.
like just a tornado around my house.
Yeah.
And when I exercise, I feel like I really have that ability to just like shut it down.
And is that like for that
That's,
day? Like if you exercise that morning, you're better, or it's just like if you're
I
exercising.
know, I know I need to exercise when I start to
I see.
have that.
I see. Yeah.
And so that ends up being pretty much every day at around like 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Yeah. And then, so that's when you exercise later in the day.
Yeah, like when it's like winters are hard for me,
Yeah.
but yeah, like in the spring, summer, and fall, like I'll be outside, running around as much as I can, or I'll be playing sports or whatever,
Yeah.
playing tennis,
Yeah.
doing men's league. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's really and like it's crazy though because it's like I had to have the conversation of like, yeah, I'm like having fun, and I'm out there like with my friends having fun, but it's really like my only outlet for exercise that I enjoy, and it benefits me, from curbing those symptoms.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so
That's pretty
it's
cool.
not like
Yeah.
and that's the thing is it's not like if I go play golf or something, that doesn't satisfy that.
Yeah.
It needs to be really like
Yeah.
heavy work.
Strenuous exercise. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, a difficult conversation that I had to have with myself around exercise was, I think I told you this, right? I started running recently,
Yeah.
and I don't like running. I do not like running. My joints hate it. My knees hurt. My Achilles hurt. I just don't enjoy it. But I really enjoy lifting weights at the gym. I genuinely enjoy it. I go and I look forward to it. But the way I was exercising, I don't think I was I was getting enough blood flow going through my body, and
Yeah.
I just wasn't getting the cognitive benefits of exercise as much as I
Yeah.
need to be, frankly. So
that
I had to
flush.
start. Now, when I go to the gym, the first thing I do is stretch and go on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And it cuts into my lifting time because I go early in the morning
Yeah.
before the kids are up, and so I wake up at 5:20 a.m. and I have tried to wake up earlier, but it gets to a point where I'm just not getting enough sleep because
What time do you go to bed?
um, usually in bed by no, I'm 9:30, 10.
And like asleep. You're asleep at like 9:30, 10.
Yeah, maybe like it depends on. Maybe it takes me like 10 minutes to get to sleep or so. But yeah, in bed, like trying to get to sleep. 9:30 on a good day,
Yeah.
10 on a more regular day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll get up and I'll go to the gym, and yeah, I only have so long, so the cardio time cuts into the lifting time, so it's like a sacrifice. But even though I don't enjoy it as much, it gives me way more of the benefits. I feel much better
Yeah.
throughout the day, and I'm able to focus more. So that's what I've been doing. But yeah, that was a difficult thing to kind of come to terms with because,
I bet.
yeah. Because I had that like you were describing, like you can go and you can enjoy it, and then it gives you benefits. But I was like enjoying it without as much of the benefits. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, anything else to add on that topic?
I don't know if I answered the second part of it,
What was the second part? I don't even know what the second part was.
of your question.
Do you remember what the second part was?
No, I just don't think I even got to it.
Oh.
That's the tricky thing about two-part questions.
Yeah, dude, I should stop doing that, huh? One part.
I've just
Oh.
never been good at that.
Oh no. That's that's one of those things that like yeah, I'm not good at that either. Working is a working memory thing, right? Like trying to hold on to those pieces and like
Oh, I know people that like can come back and then they'll be like,
oh,
they'll say like 20 minutes worth of the answer of the first
yeah,
question, and then they'll be like, and then to answer the second part of your question,
dude.
blah 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 blah, and I'm like,
I know I'm
what?
so impressed by when people do
Like this
that.
guy go to Harvard?
Yeah,
What is
dude. Yeah. I just like yeah, I had this boss, my last company, who was just like so good at coming back to every point. I was just like,
Oh,
God, that's
crazy.
amazing. I wish.
It's like, did he write it down somewhere?
Yeah,
And it did in his brain.
yeah. Freaking,
Hate that.
what a jerk. Andy,
Yeah.
let's talk about a lighthouse. Okay, there's a lighthouse in December 1900.
Okay.
Yep. Not 1900s, 1900 the year on the dot. So it was 126 years ago. Okay, there was a lighthouse on this island on Eileen Moor was the name of the island off Scotland and or in Scotland. And it was a brand new lighthouse. Construction completed in 1899 on this small island. 3 lighthouse workers worked in this lighthouse. There's 3 of them. Which I mean, that sounds like something you would love, right? If it was just you and like living in a lighthouse with like 2 other lighthouse keepers, like
Me and the boys hanging out.
and like you never met your wife and had a kid and all that, but it was just like you in a lighthouse, like the two other guys. I feel like that would be like,
Have you seen The Lighthouse, the movie?
dude, yeah, the one with
Defoe,
Willem Dafoe and
Patterson,
Robert Pattinson.
Pattinson.
Yeah, I love that. I thought it was a
It's
great
a
movie.
great movie.
Yeah, and both of them, dude.
You know
Willem
what?
Dafoe is an awesome actor. Robert Pattinson, he's an awesome actor too.
I know a lot of people that are, when I say that movie, they're like, I'm always like, this person's like gonna have never watched this movie, and they're always like, such a good movie.
I
And I'm
love it.
like, I
Yeah,
know.
that was a great movie.
It's a crazy movie.
Yeah, I loved it.
I like that director.
Who's the director?
I don't know. I just like him.
Okay,
Good stuff.
let's get back to this.
Yep.
All right, enough lollygagging, gilly gollin over there. So, three men work in this lighthouse, and one day
Yeah.
a ship was going by, and the lighthouse wasn't lit up. So he reached out to the powers that be in the lighthouse world, and it's like, hey, there was no signal on this, no light on this lighthouse.
Yeah.
So they sent out a relief crew to go check it out, get to the lighthouse,
Yeah.
and the front doors are locked. The kitchen door is open. Pop in the kitchen door. Everything looks in order. No lighthouse keepers. None of the three lighthouse keepers were in the lighthouse. Disappeared. The only thing that or the yeah, so everything looked orderly, beds were made, all that. There was one oilskin coat. By the way, the first time I ever heard oilskin coat. I don't know if you're familiar with that, probably are.
I have
One
one.
oilskin coat hanging up. And the other two were missing.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the only out of ordinary thing. The logs, the little journals, were dating to December 15th. The relief vessel got there on the 26th. So it had been 11 days from the last journal entry to when the relief vessel got there, and everyone was missing. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here is what.
Don't.
Here.
Don't.
No. I'm not going to give you any theories. Don't worry. I
Okay.
won't make that mistake again. All right. Here are just some like things that were going on. Okay.
Yeah.
So the entrance door and the gate were securely locked. Kitchen door was open. The hearth was cold, and the fire had been dead for days. Okay. So in a place where the fire was probably running all the time. The grandfather clocks in the living quarters had stopped ticking because they hadn't been wound. Two of the three heavy raincoats, oilskin raincoats, were missing from their pegs. One coat was still there. Let's see, what else is... Yeah. Okay. A search of the tiny windswept island revealed absolute chaos at the western landing stage. Okay? So a storm had battered the cliffs, twisted a set of iron railings completely out of shape, teared a massive concrete block was teared from its foundation, and ropes and equipment were scattered everywhere on the western side of the little island. Okay? That's about all the information I think you need. Let's jump into it, Andy. What the heck happened here? The three men, the three bodies were never found. They
Okay.
vanished. They vanished off the face of that little island in Scotland.
Okay. I think maybe some. All right. So these three guys, they were playing cards.
Yeah.
And All right. Thanks. And then all of a sudden they hear out back. They hear, toot, toot, and they're like,
Hmm.
do you hear
Was
that?
that you? Was that
Oh,
you, MacArthur?
Yeah. And then it was like, toot, 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 toot.
Who was like Toot? One of the guys?
outside.
Oh, okay.
And one of the guys was like, "Oh wow, we should check that out." So like, the other two were like, "Nah, dude, I've got a good hand here, and I don't want to go. I don't want to get up. It's dark out."
Yeah.
And the other guy
And
was like,
known
"Oh,
to be a card cheater, the guy who making. Go on. Sorry.
So, anyways, Angus gets up
Yeah.
and he says, "Well, you know what? You two are lamos. I'm gonna
I'm
check out this
gonna have
toot.
fun.
I'm gonna check these toots out outside." So the guy goes out, toot, 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 and then
He's shooting
stops.
back. Okay.
He's not tooting back. No way. Anyways, so next thing you know, Tootin stops.
Yeah.
That's when things got serious.
Also happened to be the name of a prominent pharaoh, Egyptian pharaoh. Tootin stops.
Tootin stops. He wasn't wearing his coat.
Okay.
Okay.
He was just like, you guys,
need
are,
it.
you guys are
It's fine out.
sissies. I'm gonna. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
It's fine out. He's like, I'm going out there. I'm gonna go check these toots out.
Yeah.
Tootin stops. Okay, that's it. That's all that happens. Minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes go by. No more toots. The two guys are still playing cards, and they're like, "Well, the toots are gone, and the guy is gone.
So
Angus
is
has not
Angus.
come back in." So it seems like we need to see what's happened here.
Yeah.
They grab their coats because they're lame.
They're not as tough as Angus.
They go out there, and what do they see? They see a boat, and with that boat there are a couple of dudes. And who do they see with those couple of dudes?
Angus.
Angus.
Oh no.
And Angus is dead.
Oh God.
So
Poor
Angus
Angus.
is totally toast. He was killed by these two guys.
Oh jeez, they lured him out with toots and they killed him.
Yeah. So
How did they get him?
the
How did
dudes
they
were
kill him?
like, "Dude, that's our friend."
Yeah.
And they start firing at the two dudes that were the lighthouse keepers. Okay. So there's a battle ensues.
Yeah.
The dudes need to go back in and find whatever stuff they can. Okay.
Yep.
Any firepower that they have.
Yep.
They gather their firepower, and the battle continues. Those folks were down there. They assumed that they had firepower. So I'm imagining that there's some sort of hill here. Oh,
Yeah.
now what happens is these guys are crack shots.
Yeah.
They've been out there all for months just shooting nothing but cans off of the fence. So they got nothing but good aim.
Oh, the lighthouse guys.
Yeah, dude, they're bored as heck. They were shooting cans off the fence, like I said.
Yeah.
So boom, boom, those two dudes are toast in their boat because they killed Angus. So
Yeah.
they're these guys, Wallace and what was your guy's name?
Angus MacArthur.
Hold on,
You want their real names? Hold on.
No, I don't. Because now I have a visual in my head of what these folks look like,
Okay.
and they're big.
Yeah,
They're
they're
not
big
messing
guys.
around either. They're huge dudes. They're like
They're
like
lighthouse
guys
keepers.
have their leather hands. They have like big lunchbox hands that are like this big,
Yeah.
and they're leathery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You gotta. If you're
Our
working lighthouse.
dads have these kinds of hands because they've just been
Oh
like
yeah.
pile driving for however long. Anyways, so bang bang, they're toast. They killed Angus, so they deserve it. The two dudes, the two lighthouse keepers, they go down to the boat. And what's on this boat?
Gold.
So much gold.
Oh.
Dude, so much gold that you couldn't even believe it. They've got their coats on.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, they steam straight down to Wales,
To the Azores.
to the Azores.
Azores. Yeah.
And they meet up with those other guys that found stuff. And they're out of there.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what happens? The kitchen door's open. The rest of the stuff's whatever because they were like, "Oh, we'll go see what the toots are. Grab Angus. We'll come back in and play cards." So the kitchen door's open. Then they go down. They have their coats on. They have their gold. They head down to Wales, never to be seen again.
Well, that's a great ending, except for Angus. Angus,
Angus
poor,
passed.
poor guy. Yeah.
They did a sea burial for him, like a Navy burial,
Yeah.
where they just tossed him in the ocean.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's a pretty good theory, dude. I think that I'll take that over the theories that I got here.
Let's
Okay.
hear him.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give you less the less likely theories first because those are more fun. Okay. So the first one is my papers are all out of order. Sorry. All right. First one is MacArthur, who was I'll give you his real name. Well, this is Angus, guy without the coat, MacArthur. He was in his 40s. First name Donald.
Okay.
Was known to have a bit of a temper. Okay.
Okay.
And
It's a feisty Scot.
the isolation of Eileen Moore, the island, was intense. So a popular psychological theory suggests that he suffered a sudden psychotic break. In a fit of island madness, one man may have killed the other two lighthouse keepers, thrown them in the ocean, and then felt real bad about it and tossed himself right into that ocean.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one theory, okay? Oh, I should also mention there's
They
a
weren't
lot of,
just like battling for gold. They were out there just like, we gotta get these guys. Like they took our friend.
yeah,
And then the other guys are like, pew 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 pew.
yeah, and they were no match for these skilled marksmen.
There's no shot.
There's a hoax that went along with this whole story here.
Of course there is.
And in 1920s, there was this hoax that these journal entries had been made leading up to the 15th, which is the final day, where they discussed the lighthouse keepers kind of going crazy, like crying, and they were nervous. They were nervous about this giant storm coming, and then by the 15th, it was like clear skies, and then they were gone. Turned out to be a hoax. So just some guy in the 1920s, probably a descendant of the Voynich guy, came up with all that. So for those of you researching this at home, you might come across some of that stuff. Just know that that's all been debunked. So we're not even going to talk more about it. Here's another theory, Andy. Given the era, some contemporary theories suggest the men were kidnapped by foreign spies.
What?
Agents on a passing submarine. I didn't know they had submarines back then, or even ghost ship pirates.
A ghost ship?
Ghost ships, yeah. And to give you a little bit more on that, so some theories included sea serpents that carried the men away, abducted by foreign spies, or they met their fate through the malevolent presence of boats filled with ghosts, the baleful influence of the, quote, Phantom of the Seven Seas. And that was widely suspected locally. So before I get into the most plausible theory, I'll say this again. If only the internet had been around, man.
Back to that, huh?
I'm back to that. I'm just frustrated that we didn't discover the internet sooner, man. Yeah, but anyway, let's get into the most likely one. Okay, so an investigation was launched by this man, Robert Muirhead, and he was a superintendent of the Northern Lighthouse Board. He conducted an official investigation. His conclusion remains the most widely accepted scientific explanation. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. On the afternoon of December 15th, the massive rogue wave or series of violent squalls struck the western landing. Ducat and Marshall, which are the names of the other two guys, likely went down to the landing to secure a large box of ropes and equipment that was getting battered by the surf. Okay? While they were down there, an enormous freak wave,
Rogue wave.
that must have been like 160 feet tall or almost 200 feet tall. Because that's how high up this was. So, ridiculous. A tsunami. Not actually, but.
Wait, how tall is a tsunami?
I don't know. I have no idea, man.
Oh,
An enormous freeway swept over the cliffside. Donald MacArthur, looking out from the lighthouse, saw his colleagues about to get wrecked by this giant wave, and in a desperate attempt to save them, rushed out of the lighthouse, didn't even have time to grab his coat, but he too
was swept away.
was swept away into the freezing, churning Atlantic. That's the leading theory, Andy. What do you think?
Wow.
Plausible?
I don't know. Like,
And let me tell you one other. Let me tell you one other little bit of information that makes this theory kind of plausible. One of the men, one of the lighthouse keepers, had been fined 5 shillings, like a little earlier, for losing equipment. So he was already
really
like,
was invested.
I cannot lose any more of my
My
stuff.
wife's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I can't lose that 5 shillings. We were gonna buy a Model T in 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
We're saving for it.
Yeah, we heard about this
Oh, then the catalog.
Henry Ford guy.
I don't know. Like, the other thing is that my theory could have happened, and then a big rogue storm could have happened after that.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. How do you feel about rogue waves, Andy?
I mean, like,
Do they scare you?
I don't know. I don't think I've never seen one.
Yeah, me neither. But
Are
like,
they more common in the Pacific Ocean
well,
or
this-
the Atlantic
this is
Ocean?
Atlantic. I don't know. I just figure they happen in all oceans. But it's just one more reason. You know, I'm a little frightened by the ocean.
Are you?
A little bit.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool in a boat, but I mean, that said, I wouldn't want to be deep in the ocean in a boat, like real deep, you know.
Like the trench?
I wouldn't want to be in the trench.
You want to be in the trench with me?
No, dude. No. Well, you know, maybe, I mean, if I've got some protection in the trench, you know, if I have a vessel that I'm bopping down there in, I think
That you really kicked the tires on?
yeah, exactly. Then I'd be like a little more comfortable with that. But I didn't like if I'm just in the ocean. Like I told you that I don't like swimming in the ocean. I don't like jumping off of a boat into the ocean. I don't like doing that.
Man, oh man, that's nothing. There's something. I just love it.
And then yeah, but like a rogue wave, you know, just the idea of that, like a random big old wave that could take you out. That's pretty scary, man. I don't know when, I don't know where they pop up, why it happens, but all I know,
Have you heard of the bloop?
I don't want to be in the water if that's a possibility.
Have you heard of the bloop?
The bloop?
Yeah.
No.
Oof.
What's the bloop?
It's a good little mystery.
Should we talk about the bloop next time?
Why don't you write it down, see what you think?
Okay, because I got to go in 4 minutes.
Okay, why don't you end this here? Why don't we end it?
End this here podcast. All right. And with that, folks, we have handed you on a silver platter another resolution to one of the world's greatest mysteries.
You're welcome.
This time, it came courtesy of a couple sharpshooters on a tall island in front of the lighthouse and a whole lot of gold.
A lot of gold, baby.
Next time, we'll be discussing the bloop.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
And I don't, maybe that's one that Andy comes with because I don't know anything about it.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
If
We'll
I have time.
talk about the bloop. And then we'll also be discussing some juicy ADHD
Content.
content. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So be sure to tune in. Thank you for listening. We've enjoyed having you, and we will enjoy having you again on the next one. And Andy, I love that shirt. That should be. That's the uniform.
That's our uniform?
That's our uniform. I wanna get
one made.
Do you have another one with stains on it that you could send me? Or is that one? Yeah. Look at that. Yep. Signing off
Make one for you.
from Wiggleston,
Missouri.
Scotland, and
Missouri.
Missouri. Just Missouri. Eric and Andy, catch you next time when we catch you.
Bye.
Bye.